If you love birds, you've probably heard the names Francolin and Spurfowl, and maybe even gotten a headache trying to keep track of which is which. Trust me, you're not alone. The story of Francolins is a wild one, filled with taxonomic twists, scientific debates, and some serious naming shakeups. Let's start with a bit of taxonomy. For years, all francolins were lumped together in a single genus, Francolinus. But as ornithologists started looking closer, especially in the last 2 decades, they realized things weren't so simple. The genus Ternistis, which used to be considered a francolin, is actually more closely related to Old World quails than to other francolins. So, starting around 2004, experts began suggesting we should use Spurfowl for all Ternistis species and Francolin for the rest. Once you take out Ternistis, the remaining francolins form a neat monophyletic clade, a tight evolutionary group if you're into that sort of thing. This clade is closely related to jungle fowl and bamboo partridges. Together they make up the tribe Gallini. And while they used to be grouped with partridges in Pedicinae, that's no longer the case. They're now classified in the subfamily Pavoninae. So, what's a francolin exactly? They're terrestrial birds but not flightless, feeding on insects, seeds and plant matter. Most have a hooked beak perfect for digging through grass and root balls, and their tails are broad with 14 rectrix feathers. Here's a cool detail. Most species have spurs on their legs, making them look a bit like tiny feathered warriors. Let's talk about where you can find them. There are about 17 living species. 5, the ones in Francolinus and Ortigonis, are native to Asia. The rest live in Africa. A few have even been introduced elsewhere, like Hawaii. In Africa, southern regions are francolin hotspots. 12 species live in southern Africa, and 7 can be found in Namibia and Zambia alone. 6 are endemic to the subcontinent, with 3, heartlobes, red-billed and orange river francolins, found only in Namibia and Zambia. The Cape Spurfowl is a bit of an outlier, living mostly in South Africa's Cape Province, but just sneaking into Namibia and Zambia. There's even a fossil francolin, Francolinus capeci, discovered in Hungary from the late Pliocene, proof that these birds have a deep evolutionary history. Taxonomy, though, is where things get really tangled. Until the early 90s, everything was Francolinus. But research suggested that wasn't working. In 1992, scientists proposed splitting them into 4 genera Francolinus for the Asian birds, and Peloperdix, Scleroptila, and Ternistis for the African ones. But even that didn't last. The crested francolin was moved to its own genus, Dendroperdix, in 1998. Nahan's francolin got moved to Tilopicus in 2006. And most recently, in 2021, the grey and swamp francolins, plus the crested francolin, were moved to Ortigonis, while 3 from Peloperdix went to the brand new genus Campocolinus. Meanwhile, Ternistis is now considered a spurfowl, not a francolin, and is part of the tribe Cotonicini. So what does francolin mean today? Generally, it's now used for birds in Francolinus, Ortigonis, Campocolinus, Peloperdix, and Scleroptila. Spurfowl covers Ternistis, and even Galoperdix from the Indian subcontinent, and that Nahan's francolin? Not actually a francolin at all. It's now sometimes called Nahan's partridge. Even at the species level, things are disputed. The Orange River francolin's range is so disjointed that some experts split the northern and southern populations into separate species. The Elgon francolin is another puzzle. Some say it's its own species, others call it a subspecies, and some even think it's a hybrid. So next time you spot a francolin, remember, you're not just seeing a bird, you're witnessing a living chapter of ornithological detective work. And if you're confused by the names, don't worry. Even the experts are still figuring it out.